Let's move over to Najee Harris here. On the season, he just sneaks in as a top 50 running back. He's RB48. Barry comes in this week as RB26 for you. We've seen more of Jaylen Warren, especially in the pass game. For everybody that was really nervous about Najee Harris to draft him this season, as we saw his ADP fall, they look right.
Yeah, I mean, the people that were nervous to draft him are 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. The person who was not nervous to draft him.
That's fine. Got him 3 rounds after his ADP. Terrible process from Jay there. Yeah, I'll never do that again.
Yeah, I mean,
in the
maybe
6th
there was a
round.
reason. Maybe there was a reason.
He's got like 27.
All right, it's fine. Listen, anytime you can use a 6th-round pick on running back 50, you got to do it.
Listen,
that's what you're saying here.
There's two problems. One, he's been terrible himself. The other problem is that his offensive line is a complete mess. It's been something. It wasn't a strength last year. It's somehow it's gotten worse. These young players, generally young players get better. They've all gotten worse. And every time that he's on the field, it just feels like he's running in mud. And then Jaylen Warren comes in, and it feels like he's running downhill. Yeah. And it just feels like a matter of time before that flips and Jaylen Warren's the starter.
And you know what's crazy? A lot of what people complained about Najee Harris was his yards per carry. In the first 2 games, that's over 4.5 yards.
Okay, but here's the thing. I watched that game. 8 of those runs went absolutely nowhere, and then he broke 2 in the fourth quarter.
The problem is this. He only has 16 carries through 2 games. The offense ain't good, so there's not as many goal line opportunities, and he's not getting the targets. This is a dude who has 70-plus catches as a rookie. He's getting none of that now.
It's all going to Jaylen Warren. He's played under 60% of the snaps in both games. He's had under 45 rushing yards in both games this season. The only thing you can sort of hang your hat on here, and he comes in at running back 26 for me this week, is that he's playing Las Vegas. And so far through 2 weeks, the Raiders have the 6th worst run defense in the NFL. On the road at Las Vegas. This is their home opener, right? And they're 1-1. There's some optimism. Right? They lost a tough one, but they won a nice one in week 1. And whatever. They lost big at Buffalo. That happens to a lot of teams. I don't think you're ready to write off the Raiders yet. My point is that there's a chance Las Vegas sort of comes up for this game in their home opener against the Steelers. It's Sunday Night Football. It's prime time. NBC and Peacock. Tune in to see if Najee Harris can not be terrible.
Najee Harris can get to 50 rushing yards.
Raiders minus 2.5.
Well, look, this line opened like 1.5. Everyone is betting the Raiders. All the shops in the market have hammered the Raiders, and they're now 2.5-point favorites. I still think they cover that. The Steelers have been terrible.
You know what? I will tell you this. Every time you're ready to write off the Steelers, here comes Mike Tomlin. I'm not going to ever say, Mike Tomlin's going to,
He had Ben Roethlisberger for a lot of that, though, and now he's got Kenny Pickett, who is saying...
Who, by the way, went, 7-2 down the stretch last year? They were like, this team's awful, Kenny Pickett's awful, and that team was playing for a playoff spot in the final week of last year.
Yeah.
To put a bow on this, you start Najee this week because it's Las Vegas?
I mean, if I'm Jay Croucher against me, I am, absolutely. I think you should.
Listen,
you're out.
No,
I'm at 26. I mean, literally, during the commercial break, I was telling you, a friend of mine literally texted me, I'm thinking about starting Zach Moss over Najee Harris. Am I crazy? And I'm like, you're not crazy.
That's all you need to know.
Right. You're not crazy for that. Zach Moss got 98% of the carries last week. We'll see if Richardson plays. He's in the concussion protocol, but the fact that that's a legitimate question, should I play Zach Moss or Najee Harris, should tell you, to your point, Lawrence, everything you need to know. I can't stand it.
That tells you what you need to know, too.
Yeah. I'm going to close it out. I mean, again, I'm at 26, and I don't feel good about it. I think I might be too high on him at 26.
Lawrence, how about another running back that's just barely holding on?
He probably falls into the end zone in this one. That's the key here, is that he probably falls.
He has to.
Yeah.
He has to.
Yeah, that's the only hope he got.
Because he can't run forward.
His offensive line needs to push him in.
No, but so it's a good matchup. That's the positives.
Raiders win. Okay.
Lawrence, another running back in a similar ranking.
The Raiders win, but you think the Steelers cover?
No, I think the Raiders will
You think
win
the Raiders
by
cover? Cover the 2.5. Oh, interesting.
But Jimmy's been good. Jimmy is good when he's healthy. He's a good quarterback.
Him and Josh McDaniels.
And we don't know that about Kenny Pickett yet.
Yeah, I think Pickett gets back on track. I think they get back on track. I think the Raiders win this one. I think the Steelers might cover this one, actually. I think this is going to be closer than people give it credit for. But we'll see.
Another running back in a similar spot, Damian Pierce. He's RB46 on the season. The Texans, they're missing multiple starters on the offensive line. They are dealing with a young quarterback that's actually looked solid, but he's still going through some ups and downs as well. With Damian Pierce right now, Lawrence, the thing that stands out to me, he's only played 47% of the snaps in these first 2 games. This could be the script the Texans are looking at often.
Right, and that's the thing you worry about. If he was playing, 70% of the snaps, we might feel different. And based on his ranking right now, we're actually being generous. I got him at RB 28 this week. The problem with this is the Jags are 9.5-point favorites, so you kind of know how you expect this game to go, much like the other ones, right? So when that happens, you see less Damian Pierce because he's a runner, never's been, efficient in getting volume in the receiving game. So I'm going to close it out on him just because of how I think the game script going to go. And they throwing the ball. They looking good throwing the ball. They getting it. We talking about picking up their receivers, Robert Woods and Tank Dell, as opposed to, should we start Damian Pierce? So I'm going to have to close it out this week.
So last night, my 1-year-old daughter woke up at like 2 a.m. and I couldn't get back to sleep. So I'm scrolling through Twitter and just randomly at like 2:15 a.m. I just watched this Twitter clip of every single CJ Stroud drop back from week 2. That's how sick I am. Just watching that at 2:15 in the morning. And he had no chance at all with that offensive line. It was like Tom Hardy in Mad Max Fury Road trying to escape all the guys chasing him. It was absolutely insane. And Damian Pierce, by osmosis, had no chance whatsoever either. And this team is missing 80% of its offensive line. And until Laramie Tunsil and Titus Howard, until those guys come back, just no running back is going to be viable. You pick Jonathan Taylor behind these guys, he's got no chance at all if you've got 3 defensive linemen swarming you the moment you get the ball.
Jacksonville, by the way, so far this season has allowed the 4th fewest rushing yards to running backs. Now, week 1 was against the Colts with, Deion Jackson and so week 2 was against the Chiefs, and that was a game that was offensively challenged. But there's a chance the Jaguars do have a decent run defense here. I'm with you in terms of the offensive line is brutal. I do think things get better for Damian Pierce. I think he's a talented player. They play the Pittsburgh Steelers in week 4, which has been a bad run defense so far, and then the Falcons in week 5, and hopefully they get some offensive linemen back for those games as well. So I'm not ready to bail on Damian Pierce season-wise, but I'm with Lawrence and Jay here. I'm closing it out for week number 3. He's my running back 29. I'm even lower on him than Lawrence's. You said you had him at 28?
28.
Yeah, you love him. Yeah,
you love him. Compared to where he actually ranked, I do.
That's fair. It's factually correct. By the way, I like Jay sitting here going, it's like that scene in Mad Max where Tom Harris being chased. Like, that's the entire movie.
Exactly. That's the Houston Texans offense.
It's literally the entire movie. It's an hour and a half of just by the way, it's an amazing movie.
Very good. Yeah.
It's really, really good.
Almost as good as Magnolia.
Oh, my God, don't get me started with Magnolia.
There goes the segment.
Yeah, great film. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
Not enough chasing. There's not enough chase scenes in Magnolia, to be perfectly honest. Yeah.
Listen, another running back.
Less male nudity, more chase scenes, and then that movie would have had me.
Another running back off to a tough start, Alexander Mattison. A little better than Pierce and Najee Harris. He comes in as RB 34. But, Barry, the good news for Mattison is he sees the Chargers this week. Maybe leave this one open a little longer?
Yeah, I'm at running back 12. The positives of Mattison is he's getting a massive workload. 74% of the snaps through week 2, 74% of the team's running back touches. Chargers are 30th in scoring defense. They've allowed 3 rushing touchdowns in 2 games here. And since the start of last year, the Bolts are allowing 5.4 yards per carry to opposing running backs. That's the most in the NFL. This offense is rolling. The reason the Vikings have lost, honestly, is a little bit on their defense and a couple of bad breaks. They haven't been able to get the running game going. I think that changes against Brandon Staley. Now, there's probably a chance that Brandon Staley also is like, I'm going to just put single coverage on Justin Jefferson. That worked so well against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, so I'll just put some random dude on Justin Jefferson, see how that goes. But I'm standing by Alexander Mattison. I think he's a talented player. It's a good matchup. He's getting massive volume.
Yeah, with this game, too, in the over-under at 54.5, you could imagine that both teams will have opportunities at the goal line. Now, last week I had Mattison at running back 30. He ended up 34. I'm not as high on him this week as you, Matthew. That's like Snoop Dogg high. But I did move him up to shout out to Snoop Dogg.
Tom Hardy, Baby Wake Ups,
I do have him at running back 21, and he's been getting 74% of the Vikings running back touches. So I'm keeping it open this week as well.
Yeah. Well, look, I think the thing here, Snoop Dogg aside, is, well, speaking of that, the total's also really high. And as you mentioned, Lawrence, 54.5. It's a touchdown higher than any other game this week. There's going to be a lot of points.
Yeah.
Matthew's
Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
No, high as Snoop Dogg, high as my cholesterol. Like, you know, it's
There's
like
a lot
whatever.
of jokes to be had there.
It's really, right. Just, there's a lot of different ways you could go with it. Sure. But yeah, you like them.
Sure, yeah, I like your
Love
Matthew. I thought you were going to do better than the cholesterol thing. I think you maybe had some more, some non-PG-13 ones cooking there. But
you know,
that's right, stay employed.
Poor Alexa's been buried in HR emails all week. Like, I just, like, every day off. Poor Alexa.
That's good to hold back sometimes.
Yeah,
Rare for us.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.